the goal?
The program is called Artemis, and it's named Artemis because in Greek mythology, Artemis was the twin sister of Apollo. And also for another reason, we have a female figure there because the trip back to the moon, the first trip anyway, back to the moon is going to feature at least two astronauts. One is going to be the first female astronaut to go to the moon. So that's pretty cool right there. But they're also going to be heading nearer toward the south pole of the moon and look around because the poles of the moon, because of the way the moon orbits, never get any sunshine. And we've already proved with orbiting spacecraft around the moon that in those deep, dark craters, there is water ice. And that's an important find if we can verify that even up close, because you can land there, the ice in the water can be broken down componently to hydrogen and oxygen, and you can make fuel out of it. You can drink it if you need to, and all kinds of great possibilities. But the idea is to eventually set up a little moon colony. The goals are to establish a presence on the moon by permanent presence by 2028. The mission itself starts in 2024, so it's a little ways off down the road. They want to try to uncover some new scientific discoveries. They're not sure what they're going to find, like the water, for example. Demonstrate new technological advancements. But the interesting part of this was to lay a foundation for private companies to build a lunar colony.
Oh, that's interesting. And Nicole talked earlier about the possible issues that could come up if you had several private companies kind of trying to carve out their own space up there.
We did a presentation last night at the Discovery Center here in Concord. And one of the things that they were talking about was why go to the moon and just set up a colony and say, okay, we're going to live there for a while?
It's a reasonable question.
Yeah. You could do as you do with the International Space Station. People go and live there in zero gravity for 6 months at a time, generally, as a tour, and then they come back to Earth. On the moon, you could go there and stay even longer, and there would be some semblance of gravity. It's a third of the gravitational pull of the Earth.
And you could get out and walk around.
But eventually, what makes sense, if that's the only goal, then it's not worth doing. But if you are using that as a jumping-off point to maybe build spacecraft in orbit, which would be a lot easier, to go to Mars, for example, then that's probably worth doing.
Well, and that gets to the email that we got before the break from Rich, who said he loves outer space exploration. He was very inspired by Apollo 11, but he doesn't think it's worth it. He said, look, probes can do this more effectively and a lot cheaper. And John, I wonder what you think about that point.
Well, I disagree. If the Apollo 11 was never a human mission, he wouldn't have been inspired. And there's a lot of things that humans can do that robots can't.
Which Nicole was mentioning earlier, yeah.
Yeah, so imagine yourself. I mean, we've had rovers on Mars since 2000, actually since 1997 with the Pathfinder rover, Curiosity and Spirit. Opportunity and Spirit, and now Curiosity. We found a lot of interesting things on Mars, but they aren't completely autonomous. Nothing could match a human walking through a dried river valley on Mars and looking out of the corner of his or her eye saying, that's a funny-looking rock over there. I want to go over there and pick it up. Without asking anybody, without checking with anybody, they can walk over there, pick it up, and say, holy cow, this looks like a fossil. I think I'll put this in my pocket and bring it back. A rover can't do that. I'm sorry, we're just really nowhere near being able to do that. So you can't match the autonomous thinking ability with making quick decisions on the spur of the moment based on things that crop up that a robotic spacecraft can't predict.
Nicole, you want to jump in there?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And as Mal was talking, I was thinking of a book I read a couple years ago called Packing for Mars by Mary Roach, which I highly recommend if you want to learn the nitty-gritty of how astronauts prepare for living in zero G or low G, and all of the challenges that we face. And she centered it around, planning a long-term trip to Mars, all the challenges we face in designing these long-term missions, the biological and psychological effects in particular.
Yeah, 9 months is a long time to be holed up in a small space with just a couple other people. And then there's the radiation, which can be extremely damaging. I think we talked earlier about this show that somebody said that the ideal crew to go to Mars would be a middle-aged married couple because they've already had children, presumably, so the radiation wouldn't hurt their reproductive capabilities. And if they'd been married for a long time, they would sort of know how to get along. I'm not sure, though, in a small
Can you send a couples therapist with them?
Yeah, there you go. Mel, go ahead.
In defense of humans' presence there, I was thinking about the robotic spacecraft can go. They have some that are designed and some who have already done this, where they go in and scoop up some material and pack it away and then send it back to Earth. We sent astronauts to the moon who, in their 6 landings on the moon, brought back 842 pounds of rocks.
It's a lot of rocks.
They could pick up a lot larger samples to bring back home, if that's the goal, than a little scoop can on the end of a robotic lander.
Well, Rich, we appreciate the email because this is a debate that is ongoing, and we've gotten great emails from our listeners. I'd love to share just a few more with you. Rachel at Keene State College says, I saw an interesting mini documentary recently detailing how the constant expansion of the universe eventually will leave us isolated in our own pocket of space, unable to see or reach anything beyond that. Rachel says, obviously, this would take a very long time, but what are your thoughts on this? Is future space colonization limited because of this? Wow, Rachel, that is a lot to think about. John, do you want to just jump in on that? The idea of the universe constantly expanding and eventually we'll be really alone.
Yes, it's a sobering thought.
It is.
But we can kind of relax a little bit. I tell my students this all the time. Listen, this isn't going to happen before the final, so forget. It's not going to get you out of the final exam. This is so far in the future, and it's true. The universe. Edwin Hubble showed us that the universe is expanding. In the late 90s, we discovered that the expansion rate of the universe is accelerating. So it's expanding faster today than it did yesterday. So yes, in the very, very distant future, as Carl Sagan said in his Cosmos series back in the 1980s, eventually the last galaxy will disappear over the cosmic horizon. The galactic astronomers will be out of business. That's true. But it's such a long time scale. It's like worrying about the sun becoming a red giant in 4 billion years.
Okay.
So
I can cross that one off my worry list.
You don't have to worry about it for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Well, Rachel, I really appreciate the email and so many others. Russell emails, I don't think going to Mars will ever gain as many viewers and amazement as did going to the moon. Russell says, due to technological advancement, it seems possible to go to Mars. Back when going to the moon seemed more impossible. What do you think about this, Nicole?
Oh, that's interesting. See, I would think that the Mars mission wouldn't gain as many viewers because it's over such a longer time frame. And we
instead
have
of
shorter,
like 5 days.
Yeah, we have shorter attention spans. So, like the launch would get press and the landing would get press, and then they'd be living there for 2 years or however long the mission was and not get as much viewership. And yeah, at the time, there were, I'm not as familiar with pre-Apollo sci-fi, but yeah, going to the moon was science fiction. Going to the Mars is still science fiction for us now.
There was a company, a Dutch company, I think it's called Mars One. They're out of business. But they were going to send people to Mars, and they actually got volunteers.
I remember that.
This. No,
So
we talked about that on the show.
They were gonna fund themselves and fund the mission with a reality TV series on the people who went to Mars.
I've met some of those folks.
Have you?
Yes. So
raises
so they're out of
ethical
business.
concerns for me.
It's not going to happen. Not that anybody thought seriously that it would happen, but they were going to fund themselves with betting on people would actually watch them. People arguing on Mars.
People would. I'm sure people would.
Was this the one-way trip to Mars?
Yes.
No.
No.
That was a different one.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, fodder for future astronomy shows. And I would like to say I am really interested in this probe that's going to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. We do not have time to talk about that today. So hold on to that because we will talk about it next time. It's super, super interesting. Lots of tantalizing aspects of that moon that remind us of our Earth. But very quickly, just to wrap up our Apollo 11 discussion, any special events, special commemorations, anything that you're going to be doing on July 20th when they landed that you want to tell us about? And by the way, we've always got links and good information on our website, nhpr.org/exchange.
I do want to mention that there is a major celebration of the landing day on the 20th, this Saturday, at the McAuliffe Shepard Discovery Center, and celebrating the 50th anniversary. They are running it from 10:30 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and they'll have a lot of moon-related activities, and they're going to be unveiling a new exhibit there called To the Moon, but also to help celebrate, the governor's going to be there, and Senator Shaheen will be there.
Oh, wow, it's a big deal.
So it's a really big deal.
Okay, and we'll put links on our website too, Mal.
You can check it out at starhop.com.
Easy. Okay. How about you, John?
So at the University of New Hampshire, we have our twice-monthly public viewing sessions, and the next upcoming public viewing session is, coincidentally, on Saturday, the 20th of July. So from 9 to 11 at the UNH Observatory in Durham, we will have a acknowledgement and celebration of the Apollo 11 landing on the moon, topped off by observing the moon, and we'll point out the various landing sites for the mission that had people on them going to the moon.
Nicole, what are you doing this weekend?
You can get on Twitter
Big
right
Moon
now.
Weekend.
Big
Yeah.
Moon Weekend. You can get on Twitter right now and follow a air quotes live tweet of the Apollo mission by space historian and author Amy Shira Teitel. She does this every once in a while. It's super cool, where she has her tweets come out at the day and time on the anniversary of the 50th anniversary of everything that's happening. So you can follow the
You
mission
feel like it's live.
in real time, even though it's 50 years later. So check out Amy Shira Teitel's feed. I can send you guys the link. And check out your local public library. I'm speaking at 2 different libraries in August about space because they're all doing space-themed events this summer. So check with your local library. I'm sure they have got some awesome stuff going on.
Well, it's been really great to talk to all of you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is The Exchange on NHPR. Let's check in with our summer car raffle.
Well, now I have a whole list